Hello everyone, my name is Mrs. Rajkumari Chouhan. I teach in Anjuman Islam A.A.K English Secondary School. Today I am going to explain you a topic of political science, Standard 9th, Post-World War Political Development, Part 2. In Part 1, we have studied about First World War and the effects of First World War, and also after that a organization was formed called League of Nations so that no other war should happen after this. But still, after this organization, we have found Second World War happened. Now here the question comes, how come the Second World War happened? The Second World War happened because most of the powerful countries were not part of that organization. So, Second World War was more destructive than First World War. We also have studied about the concept globalization. So now in Part 2, we are going to study about Cold War. America and the Soviet Union, who were allies in the Second World War, became competitors. As soon as the war got over, the cooperation between them gave way to rivalry. This rivalry occupied a period of 40 to 45 years of international politics. There was no open war between these two countries, but there was such tensions in their relation that it seemed that a war would erupt any time. The concept of Cold War is used to describe the condition where there is no actual war, but there are such tensions in the circumstances that they may be responsible to cause war. In this period, America was already a superpower, but Soviet Union also tried to become a superpower by making nuclear weapons and by increasing its military might. The struggle for power, arm race, difference in ideologies, attitude of checkmating each other by strategies and counter strategies gave rise to the Cold War. Effects of Cold War. Creation of military organization. During the Cold War, both the superpower created military organizations. The respective superpower took up the responsibility of the security of the countries joining the military organization led by them. NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, that is NATO, was a military organization under the dominance of America, while the Warsaw Pact was a military organization under the command of Soviet Union. Bipolarization of the world. During the Cold War, most countries of the world joined either of the two superpower blocs. Such a division of the nation of the world in two groups is bipolarization. The scope of the Cold War increased due to this. The sphere of tension spread. Arm race. The superpowers started producing arms on a large scale to outsmart each other. There started a rivalry to make more and more destructive weapons and to acquire the technology required for the same. But soon both the superpower realized that arm race may endanger international peace. Creation of regional organization. Developing nations created regional organization at the regional level in order to ensure mutual cooperation in the context of the superpower rivalry. They felt that economic development was more important. European countries came together and formed the European Economic Community, while the Southeast Asian countries, that is Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, etc., they joined, established the Association of Southeast Asian Nation, that is ASEAN. Now let's have a look on non-alignment. Non-alignment means in the period of the Cold War, while the world was becoming bipolar, there were some countries which did not want to join the superpower rivalry. Such nations decided to stay out of the Cold War rivalry. Their policy is known as non-alignment, and this is called as non-alignment movement. The Asian and African countries which became independent after the Second World War supported the idea of non-alignment. This movement started from 1961 under the leadership of Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and some other president of other countries. Then we'll see what is evolution of non-aligned movement. The non-aligned movement has opposed colonialism, imperialism, and racism. It has encouraged the resolution of international disputes by peaceful means. India led this movement under the guidance of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. The non-alignment movement is eternally on the principle of humanism, global peace, and equality. End of the Cold War. The Cold War that had dominated international politics since 1945 came to an end. It was an important event that happened towards the end of the last century. There were many reasons for the end of the Cold War. The Soviet Union adopted the policy of opening up the economy. As the Eastern European countries under the influence of Soviet Union adopted the capitalist and democratic path, the Soviet Union disintegrated, several new nations were created out of it. And after that, we will see what is post-Cold War. America remained the only superpower in world politics. A conducive atmosphere prevailed for the growth in trade and economic relation between and among nations. Capital, labor, market, and information circulated throughout the world. Ideas spread freely as well. Priority given to trade relation was important. The description of a country which was opposed to another was now changed from enemy nation to rival nation. The United Nations now had to take more concrete steps to maintain global peace and security. Environmental protection, fostering of human rights, gender equality, and management of natural calamities now acquired a global dimension. So this all thing happened after post-World War, that is Cold War. Now let's have a look on what is globalization. So after the end of the Cold War, trade and economic relation between countries became more open. As between mentioned before, capital, labor, markets, and information became circulating globally. The give and take of ideas among people all over the world grew. Due to the revolution in information technology, different events and developments began to be known everywhere. The boundaries between nations did not remain as circumscribed as they were before. All these processes are called as globalization. Just as globalization has brought us benefit, it has also caused losses. For example, the economies of different countries got linked with each other, trade increased, economic unification grew, plenty of products became available in the markets, but at the same time, the gap between the poor and rich nation did not reduce. So this is what we have seen about globalization. So let's have a look what we have studied in part 2. So we have studied about Cold War, effects of the Cold War, end of the Cold War. Then we also have seen post-Cold War and globalization. So I hope you're clear with the chapter, both the parts. So if you have not watched part 1, do watch it, and then after that do see this video, that is part 2 about the chapter post World War political development of standard 9. So I hope you understood the topic. Thank you so much for listening to me patiently. Thank you. Bye bye. Have a good day.